What's up, everybody? We are here in the Handy Quilter headquarters with our friend Kelly, and she is going to teach us all about fill stitches and our favorite fill stitches. So let's start out by telling everybody what is a fill stitch and why it's important.
Okay, so we use a fill, we call it a background fill, a texture and fill, lots of different ways that we kind of talk about them. But we specifically drew a flower on our block, and we want that flower to stand out and like pop in our quilt.
So like an applique or like a t-shirt quilt something or a motif on something?
Anytime you want something to pop in your quilt, if you quilt densely around it, it allows that object or motif to be able to shine, right?
Okay, cool.
So I have three favorites that I use a lot. They're kind of my go-tos, and one kind of is just straight lines. Like straight lines are an awesome fill, and I'll show you different ways you can use that, but they're good if you combine them with Meander. We showed you Meander in our basic video. It's a perfect background fill. You can do it so small that it just so dense that you can't even tell what kind of a stitch you did, because it's just, we're not going to do it quite that small. But then also Pebble. But Pebbles they're a big commitment. So you think about what space you're going to put them in, because they do take a long,
laying down a lot of stitches.
So I like to add a couple of other kind of designs in with my Pebbles, like a swirl, or maybe just a big curl inside. I'll show them as I go, but I like to add those to the Pebbles so that I'm faster.
So it doesn't take 10 days to quilt a quilt.
So when I quilt really small like this, I'm going to quilt kind of densely. I want to make my stitches a little bit smaller. Because if I'm doing a small meander, you know, it's supposed to be kind of rounded. If I'm doing 10 stitches per inch, they're kind of like pointed.
Looking like you're doing like an analog stitch.
So I'm actually going to put it at 14 stitches per inch, just so you know. And then I also have my machine set in cruise mode. That means my needle is continuously moving, and it's more fluid when I'm stitching something like this. So, and I will have that set at 200. Okay. So we're going to start out with Meander. I got to get clear over there to that flower. So, and you can do this design like so little. Should I show you?
Yes,
I'm just going to stop for a second, because I also like to do this in manual mode. So if you're someone who likes to play with the settings on your machines, you could put it in manual mode. And I like mine at like 900. But that means the needle's like a metronome. It's moving at the same speed all the time. When I'm doing a design that's just the same thing over and over again,
you're getting like a rhythm.
Manual is kind of like a rhythm, So I'm going to switch it so you can see that.
You can hear the difference. You can hear that it's just like all one solid.
Okay, enough of that small. Let's do a little bigger.
The only downside of this is you have to stay on the same rhythm, right? You can't.
You do. So if I were to switch and add a swirl in here, it would throw off my rhythm, and my stitches wouldn't be the same size. So as long as I'm doing something like pebbles or meandering, the manual mode works just great. So that was just a little bit of manual. Now I'm close to the flower, so I'm just going to actually switch back to regulated. 14 stitches per inch. You want to do this, Brody?
Sure, I'll do it. I don't want to ruin your design here.
Hey, that applique flower is fantastic. So it helps if you wiggle your hips with it. Like
Does it?
Yeah, you got to get your body moving with it. What do you think about doing it small compared to the bigger size?
It's a little more difficult to keep kind of where you're going with it.
Good.
I'm proud of that.
Hey, that looks good.
I'm proud of that.
The one thing, when you do designs like this at this size, it really helps you learning how to control the machine.
I agree.
So you may not even have the quilt right now that you're thinking, I have a place to put that, but practicing in different sizes and dimensions kind of gives you more control of the machine.
And anybody can do it just like this.
Yeah.
Stitch out a little something, or even grab a pen or a Sharpie and just mark it on there and then work around that design.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to switch you places.
Okay, we're going to go to Pebbles now.
Okay, and this is like, I feel like Pebbles is like the notorious like when you put pebbles on a quilt, you're committed. And like people say like, oh yeah, that's you're a quilter.
Yeah, pebbles are good. The thing I say about pebbles is to be
patient.
Patient. Be consistently inconsistent with size and shape.
Okay.
Because if you try to do all nickel-shaped pebbles, or you're going to have that space where it's not going to fit, and that one is going to speak out to you, going, "What did she do here?" Them.
Okay.
Right. So if I try to do them different sizes, then they don't stand out, and it works great. So
pebbles.
All right, here we go. Pebbles. I like to go right, then left, right, then left. Change my size a little bit. And then I got to go around this one until I'm the place that I come out. So I may be going around pebbles. I should stop and say that. You might just be going around pebble once. You might go around it 1.5 times.
I was just about to ask that, yeah.
I might even have to go around it almost 2 to get
yourself out
of the hole.
Okay.
And obviously I'm in a hole right now. I'm at the point. So it's okay if I just follow my stitching. I'm just going to stitch over something that I already stitched.
Okay.
Just over stitching.
So no big deal.
No big deal. Okay, I'm already a little bit bored with pebbles, so I'm going to add some other things to it. Okay? All right, so we're going to go pebbles. I'm going to do a little bigger one, and I'm going to go inside and add a little curl.
Oh, it's got the pebble swirl there.
Stitch. And I might even add a swirl.
I feel like the hardest thing for me when it comes to pebbles is mine all look like swirls, so I never get it right on top of each other.
Well, you know what? You're too hard on yourself, because normally when I would do a pebble like this, I'm doing it for the texture, and I'm going to choose the same color thread, like black.
Oh, I see.
Fabric,
so it's going to blend
thread.
in. Okay.
Occasionally you're going to get really brave and you're going to do something fun with a bold thread, but most of the time you're just doing this for the texture that it provides, and so it doesn't matter if your circle is exactly on top, if your next stitch is exactly on top of the last.
Because you won't be able to see it.
Yeah. Do you want to try this?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Go right, then left. Change directions of your pebbles as you go. Okay, I'm cheering you on. He said he could never do this one very good, but looks like to me he's got a pretty good pebble.
They have to touch too. I think that's part of.
So if you have little gaps, you're not gonna see that either. Oh, you're gonna go for the swirl? No.
No,
bigger pebble.
Not brave enough.
Okay. You did it.
There it is.
Oh, that was a good one.
Wasn't bad, right? That works, right?
Very good. Got you kind of up there reaching. I should have rolled this down just a little bit so you didn't have to reach so far. Very good.
I feel like with a little bit of practice, and you can obviously tell the difference in right here and right here where I did it, but with a little bit of practice, I feel like that wouldn't be too hard to kind of get in the rhythm of just staying on top of each one of your stitches. And again, use a notepad, right? Yes. So this seems like this would be a great one to practice on a notepad, and just keep your pen down and to the left, to the right. So my takeaway as a beginner of not doing pebbles, go to the left, go to the right, go to the left, go to the right. I was telling Kelly before this video that I've always wanted to be able to do pebbles, but I feel like they always end up looking like loops. And she said it's because you're not going each direction. So pro tip.
And you want them to touch. So, and we're reminding you to look ahead, but we're reminding you to look at the points that matter. Like if you want that pebble to brush up against the last one, watch that intersection. That's what you want to make sure is touching. So.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we've done some meanders. We've done some really small meanders, some pebbles. What's our next fill?
Let's just do some straight lines and show you what fun you can do with straight lines, okay?
I'll switch the sides.
And if you really care about them being perfectly straight, I would recommend using a template or a ruler. We're going to be a little more organic today.
Okay. Maybe some wavy straight lines.
It's okay if they're wavy straight lines. And I did put a ruler base on because I like to rest my hand on the ruler base to give it a little bit of drag.
Okay, just so everybody knows, a ruler base is basically like a little small acrylic piece that goes on to the bottom of the machine, and it gives you just a little platform that you can set a ruler on top of. Yeah,
so I've seen people doing dangerous things, like trying to hold on to things to give it, so don't do that. If you want some drag, just put your ruler base on. And here we go. We're just gonna do some straight lines. Oh, those are really close. I'm gonna spread them out a little bit. And then I might even change direction. Just so you know, diagonal straight lines, they're the hardest to do because it's like physics, all wheels.
Everything's
in motion.
Moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so generally I would put a ruler with diagonal lines.
And you just stitch right over the top of your other line, no problem?
No problem. Okay, can you see it's a really fast fill, and really it's not precise. I would have used a ruler on those angled ones.
Sure.
But by changing the direction of the lines, it gives you its own set of texture. So it helps this flower pop out, but then it leaves a kind of a texture in the background.
Sure.
So they work in lots of different places. This, you know, might not be the best example, but lines work well.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Lines?
Sure.
Okay.
Straight lines, round 2.
Oh, he's going for the diagonal.
There's a diagonal line here. That works, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways to create texture. Those are just 3 really basic and simple ones. So.
Okay, awesome guys. So use these on your quilts, use them on t-shirt quilts, applique quilts, or let's just say there's a piece of fabric, or you're using a piece of fabric that has a larger motif on it and you want that to pop out, like a tulip pink, or one line that comes to mind is the Curious and Curiouser, where you had the big Alice in Wonderland prints. If you wanted to make that pop out, put that fill around it. So
I don't know, from this angle you can really see how that flower kind of pops out.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Kelly, thanks again for teaching us. And we will see you on the next Handy Quilter video.